Hey everyone, welcome to my show. I'm Tiffany Blackman with my so-called fabulous. Welcome everyone. And today I'm putting my chef coat back on because you know I have that passion for food and wine. I love it. I literally eat it up. I adore it. And I'm so excited because we've had chefs and we're doing chef series and I'm bringing in two amazing people that's been in my life since 2009 when they opened. Welcome to the show, Ellerbe Fine Foods from Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome, Chef Molly McCook, and welcome, Richard King.
Great. Thanks for having us.
It's so great having you.
Great being here.
I know. It's great seeing you not in your element, you know, and I'm not seated at a dining table or at your bar, but welcome. And I have to tell you, I know you opened your fabulous restaurant, Fine Dining, in 2009 in June, because that's when Greg and I started dating. And that was one of our first dates at your restaurant. And I know the Blackman family loves Ellerbe's. So thank you for all you've done. So I'm excited to have you both here and explain to us about the restaurant industry, the changes we've gone through, because we have gone through we're still in COVID. It's still a thing, isn't it?
Still a thing,
it's
very
okay.
much.
And I have watched you. We've all watched you. And I know Fort Worth has supported you for sure. So first of all, your bios. So you two are from Shreveport, Louisiana. And I understand you've been friends for a long, long time, right?
Long time, since I was about 12.
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years. Oh, my goodness.
30 years.
And you were saying, Richard, when you walked in, you really didn't think you would be sitting here at your age and you're young with Molly in business, right?
Not at all. No way. Yeah,
But you're so lucky to be, right?
Well, thanks. And very humble about it, too. We started, we always grew up, you know, with families that were always into food and wine. And I think, and we had no idea our families, it just was part of our being, it's part of our dinners, it's part of our traveling. And both our families went down the same kind of path. And that they'd instilled that richness of why it's important to embrace, you know, food and wine at every meal together, you know, and also learn more about it, you know, not just a style we cook in our family, what other families cook. And that's what Molly's really kind of adapted some of your menus to, some traditions and also some of your traveling traditions as well.
Sure, yeah.
Molly, did you know you were going to be a chef when you were a little girl?
Always loved it. It was always my hobby. Dinner parties, you know, my mother would have grand dinner parties at our house, and I was always playing sous chef to her and eating all over the world with them. But I went to school to become a veterinarian.
No.
Yes.
I didn't see that.
I know. I worked in vet hospitals, did a couple years pre-vet, and then just realized that was not the direction I wanted to do. And I really was wanting to turn this hobby into a career. And it was before Food Network and all of that stuff, just to date myself. But
Oh, yeah.
and so I really wasn't sure about the path or how that happens. But I was at Colorado State at the time, and luckily they had a restaurant and resort management degree that I switched over to and just hit the ground running from there.
And then went on out to San Francisco, and you did a lot. I mean, you've worked with some amazing chefs. And I know San Francisco has been hit very, very hard, the different restaurants. But I mean, you worked at Stars. I mean, just beautiful, fabulous. Gary Danko.
Yes.
Beautiful restaurants. I mean, over there on Fisherman's Wharf in that area, I've been to that restaurant.
Yes.
And it's fine dining. And when you were doing these internships and these when you were working there as a chef in whatever capacity, did you know that fine dining and sustainability, because I do want to talk about your concept, did you know that was your passion?
Not yet. After school, I went and worked at Gary Danko, and I really thought that style was what I was going to want to do. Very fancy, the couture style, you know, very French. And I still love doing that, but I thought that's what I was going to do every single day for sure. And after I finished up at Gary Danko, I moved over to Stars under a chef named Emil Schwetner. And she was the first one to really show me the farm to table in a restaurant setting. And she had been at Chez Panisse and done all of those other things. And so I started learning seasonally menu design from her, and then went from there. She told me I needed to go to LA. I needed to work with Suzanne. She packed me up and gave me a letter, said, don't open it, just hand it to her and you'll be fine. And
Wow.
so I listened to her, went, and Suzanne then took it to another level with me. And, I started working the markets and all of that. And I realized this is how I'd grown up, and it all made sense. It just clicked all of a sudden.
And you went to, after you did go, because I went to TCU and had a food science and nutrition degree, then went to culinary school on the East Coast at Johnson Wales, and totally changed your, it just totally, food science and nutrition, you're talking about food preservation and to fresh and food, and you're on the bay, and just so many different flavors and learning flavor profiles and that French classic cuisine that, people are like, do you like to cook French? I cook French when I cook, but I don't do the sauces. I just, my life's not in that. I just go see you. That's all I do now. But when you went out to the California Culinary Academy, and that's where you really do learn, the basics of your French cooking.
Yes. It's definitely the basics.
Your potatoes, your tourneau, and all those fabulous things. So, and sauces. So interesting that's where the sustainability learning in California, and that's where that came from. And would you, both of you, please explain your concept to my listeners and followers in my community about your concept?
Yeah, well, we our concept kind of evolved. Molly and I had a vision of what we wanted to be back in 2007 and 2008, and we decided to do the restaurant and finally pulled the trigger in 2008, and it got it all ready to go. And if you remember, 2008 was not a really great year in the United States. A lot of businesses were shutting down. We still moved forward. Even our parents were kind of a little leery on some of this side, but we did it. And
young and dumb.
It
works.
And that was a blessing. It was a blessing. We worked.
It does.
So we started Ellerbe, being Molly's background of just using fresh and seasonal, and then as much as possible as local. And back in 2009, we were opening up. That concept wasn't around. It's definitely more prevalent now, for sure, which is fantastic. But it really wasn't around in 2009. And even the style of, I think, cuisine and cooking that you were doing wasn't even really around 100% in Texas. So that was really fun to kind of develop this. How are we going to work with these local farmers, these cheesemakers, these ranchers? And we didn't know them. We didn't know who they were. But Molly had the background of, I got them. I'll find them. I'll get the great ones in. I'll develop this relationship with them where they kind of become our partners in our business. And then with me on the front of house side, that's what I've always kind of worked on in the business, and with the wine. And then so I was able to have fun on the wine side of constantly evolving our menu around our wine list around the menus. And that's something that I'd never done either. I always just, had wine list and wine list. You had that same wines all year long, but we can't do that at Ellerbe with the menu changing, really about 6 times a year, give or take.
Is that about?
We change weekly, but kind of 6 major changes, if you will, give or take. So, and then, so the wine list kind of evolves with that. So that's why when you come, you get a whole new menu and different experience almost every single time you come in, which is good and bad. Some guys are like, I really miss that sweetbread dish you had. Well, thank you.
Yeah. That would be my brother-in-law, Kirk Brockman. Oh, she didn't have this on there.
That's right.
Like, It does change. It does change. But, and are you, with that concept, Molly, do you solely do the R&D? Are you just totally creating the menu? Do you have help? Are you both doing that collaboratively?
I have solely done it for the last 10 years. And then I am working with a wonderful sous chef. And over these last 6 months or so, we've really gotten the opportunity to expand with him. And he's helping on some of them, some specials and things like that. So it's really fun to get to collaborate with someone else now.
Isn't that fun?
It is.
And seeing the young passion. I've had chefs on here before. In fact, said, you really can't teach passion.
No, you can't.
You can go to culinary school and you can get the piece of paper, just like in anything. But if you don't have that passion for food and to go through the trenches, like,
Yep.
oh goodness gracious. Okay, Richard. So tell me, you're a fellow frog. So
am.
go frogs.
Go Frogs,
I
yeah.
know we're purple blood here. So you started your equipment at Strategic Equipment is how you started your career, right? Right out of college, or
I did.
kind
yeah.
of?
I sold ovens and plates. Really exciting.
I know it's riveting. I went,
It is
I
riveting.
know that.
It is.
That is
Yes,
kitchen
I know.
equipment.
Boy, it's just so hot to talk about that.
You didn't know I was going there, did you?
That's right. I did not. But what it did, it brought a different experience. And I was there, gosh, I think about 4 years, maybe 5, that we were able to use, and we still use in the restaurant. Just about how to design the kitchens and how to design the front of house and what are the right stuff to bring in for these both as sides, because they're two different parts of the restaurant, if you will. And so I started out there in this sales, because I love to talk, so it was fun to be in that sales side, but also working with these pretty big restaurants across the United States and traveling to them and helping them set up their restaurants. So it was good young experience for me on that side.
Okay, one more time, I'll ask you. When you went across to all these fabulous restaurants across the United States, did you think, I'm going to do that?
No.
Okay, still. Not yet.
Not at all.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So you moved there, and then you went on into customer analytics or consumer analytics.
Mhm.
What in the world? Help me out, because that's not my brain.
Yeah, so that was a company here in Fort Worth called Buxton,
Mhm.
and it was an analytical firm where we were analyzed just demographic data and psychographic data of where to put commercial businesses, restaurants, and things like that, and also help out municipalities to land certain businesses.
Mhm.
So then I learned on that side, marketing and where are the right places to put your kind of concepts, and maybe what you think is your primary customer could be a secondary customer. Secondary could be a primary. So you kind of learn that
Wow.
really fun marketing nerd side to it.
Mhm.
I was on the sales side of it, and we had great teams to help us really analyze the information behind that.
Right. And I have a point here, because you have spent 15 years from busboy to the front of the house, to the back of the house, and now you're in the front of the house. You're the general manager of Ellerbe, but all of that experience, and I say that because I do have a demographic that's very young that listens and watches, and they're like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And it's guests like yourself that, well, I always liked this, but I really didn't think I really wanted to be. I wanted to be a vet. So, and teaching kids, your kids too, you don't have to know what you want to do immediately in life. So bring us to the restaurant. So, Richard, you love wine, because you brought 2 bottles here. So what did you bring? First of all, how did you tell us your wine? You love wine. There's a passion for it. So
Yeah.
tell us your education with wine and how that started.
Yeah, wine is definitely a part of me. It's part of our everyday in our family as well. So I started out with my dad traveling through different wine countries throughout the United States and also the world, and he also had a passion for it. And started collecting when I was 18 years old of wine, and it's a unique beverage that really has great memories every single time you open a bottle up. It can make a meal taste better. It can make a meal fun, happy, a lot of laughs. And it's not complicated. I think people really overcomplicate wine and get intimidated by wine. It's fruit juice with alcohol in it.
It's really good.
It's really good fruit juice alcohol. And, but you get to taste everybody's personality in every single bottle. That's totally different. And that's what's fun. And it's fun learning that and learning those different winemaker style or certain regions, why they taste this Pinot from this region, taste it from this Pinot in this other region, and why I would work with this dish, but it won't work with this dish. It's a fun puzzle every single day to work with and to talk about.
So do you look at Molly's menu and do you pair with her menu? And then, of course, you go beyond, because there's more things. And and I say pair because I know that there's flavor profiling, and I know that we do pair, but there's still that person. I work for the beef industry. There's still that person that wants a fabulous ribeye steak with a Pinot Grigio.
Yep,
there's that
right.
person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily work, but it works for them. So what do you say? How do you
that
select?
can still be a pairing, right? That's just a mental pairing. Like you're not going to be able to force them away from their Pinot Grigio from their steak. They've been that's what's going to pair well.
And there's probably a memory attached to that, why they do that in the first place, and not even realize it. You know, we have so many of those little nuances that we do without even thinking about it.
That's right. You know, and it's easy to guide people as well. You know, people are willing to listen, and most people are willing to try as well. So then, you know, when they come to the restaurant, we kind of guide them through, you know, because Molly's Cuisine it has a lot of tradition behind it, but sometimes they're like, I don't know what this word is. And so our server will guide them through what that is. Oh, yeah, my grandmother used to make that. Exactly. Your grandmother used to make this.
Exactly.
But this is the French term for it now, you know. And then they'll say, you know, well, we want a cab with this. Well, cab will work, but maybe we can kind of go down this path that might actually make the food taste better. And also the wine will go better with it. And if you don't like it, it's okay. Molly and Richard will drink that bottle of wine in their office, and we'll find another bottle of wine that you're going to like for dinner. You know?
got
So,
this.
Yeah, so somebody's going to win on this deal, you know. So, yeah, so I think more so in the past 5 years, we've seen a lot more of our customers being more free thinking on it, and really more adaptive. And I think now we have more wine information at our fingertips than we did 10 years ago when we started Ellerbe. Now people have all these apps on their phones. They can take our wine list and they can figure out, you know, oh, that's a neat wine. That's a good price. I want to do that. Which we didn't really have that, you know,
Right.
5-10 years ago.
Technology.
So wine's come a long way quickly in the United States.
So I see you brought a bottle, and my first visual, and if you're on YouTube, you can see here he has you can tell us what you brought, but it's a screw top.
Yeah, love them.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love it.
Can't mess that one up.
No, you can't. And the bottle does not go. It doesn't go
Nope.
back.
No, it won't.
It won't. I love that. So tell us what you brought with the red.
Yeah, so the red screw cap, that little Cote de Rhone. So
Is that amazing?
well, in a screw cap thing, I know we all have our feelings about, you know, pulling that nice bottle of wine, that cork right out of it. You know, it does feel good, and it has that great little smell to the cork that we like to see and touch. But you're right. A cork, wine has cork in it. There's a possibility something can go wrong. You know, it's still living food in that bottle. Screw cap is great. Brings the cost down the bottle of wine, which I like. You know,
Isn't that
we're all trying to kind of watch our budgets this year on a lot of things, and so screw caps are a way to go. The wine's not going to be bad either. It won't be flawed at all. But this one, this Cote de Rhone, you know, I like it. I think for the holidays, it's, you know, it's called a GSM, so Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend. So it's out of France, out of the Rhone area in France. And it's a blend that goes well with all these flavors we got coming up in Thanksgiving and also coming through in the Christmas time. That's not too huge, not too big and bold, but nice and round style red wine that's medium, you know, styled, which I think kind of goes well with the flavors we're getting ready to get into, you know, and for the fall, you know. But you're right, Texas, we still like our cabs, you know, all day long.
I know.
And cabs have their place, but, you know, I'm here to, like, hey, there's also places for these other guys as well. And they might even be a little better place than your cabs, you know, get out of your box a little bit.
Exactly. And so at Thanksgiving, do you have a population, probably be my age group, that would say, do you have a Beaujolais Nouveau, please?
Oh, man. What a great way of asking that question.
You know what I'm saying?
We do. Beaujolais are my favorite wine to drink on Thanksgiving.
Of course.
Just because it's light, it's fruity, it's fresh. You're getting these really bigger flavors, you know, in Thanksgiving on the food side. So it's nice to have a wine that kind of has the opposite profile that kind of really kind of mellows that food down a little bit and not so heavy, you know, because I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas, like you know, that's that one day you're going to eat and drink all day long.
Correct.
And that's why we do the Beaujolais, especially if you can get the cru Beaujolais, you know, I mean, like $5 more. And they're, you know, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on these great wines.
Not at all.
15, 18, 20 bucks maybe. And you get some great wines for that time.
I will go and try to purchase, because my mother did. I mean, that was what she served. And they always, the wine, the sales guy or gal always tries to talk me out of it. I'm like, no, I think it's just a tradition. And go back what you said, Molly. It's a memory of what my mom, that's what she did. And
that's
so
what was on the table.
That's what we're going to have. I don't want a Pinot Noir. I don't. I'll drink that later. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it is. So tell us about, you know, we are getting close to the holidays. This is airing 2 weeks before the holidays, actually 2 or 3 weeks. So tell me what you're doing, because we have gotten used to the curbside. We've gotten used to takeout. We've gotten used to ordering our food, because I think we have cooked and cooked until we're done. And consumers, that's just mine. I love to cook, but I think consumers are home and they've cooked and they love it or they're done. So tell us what you're offering and we can start now.
Sure.
Ordering.
Yeah. Well, back when we started, for the first couple years, we did everything but the bird, and we are bringing it back. So what we're offering is all the sides, just not the bird. So
Right.
you only have to focus on the bird. We have a full menu that'll feed 4 to 6 people. Pick it up the day before, pop it in the oven, complete heating instructions, and be ready to go. And we're also offering desserts as well. Our bread pudding, which if we don't have it on the menu, there would be an uproar. So our
Yes.
bread puddings are
My
there, as
husband.
well as a pumpkin pie for those who want to go traditional. And the menu this year is traditional with a little bit of a twist. So I'm bringing in like the cornbread dressing that I used to have growing up that has a little andouille sausage in it, and some roasted Brussels sprouts, candied sweet potatoes that my nanny taught me how to make. But we're going to top those with some spiced pumpkin seeds. And so it'll be a little fancy, but still those flavors and memory foods that we've all grown up with.
Do you find that when you are creating these menus, it's difficult sometimes because people have that dressing that they had growing up, that cornbread dressing, that's what they want. That's what they're having. They don't want a bread dressing, just like a sourdough bread dressing. Do you have that? Like people, obviously this is very, 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 to me, it's Southern. And of course we're all from the South here, but it's very traditional. And so do you have people that if you would have put something crazy on here that they go, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, the first few years I did 2 styles of menu. I had a very,
did.
very traditional one. And then I had one that was a little more unique.
Mhm.
And our number one seller of all of it was mashed potatoes and gravy
Absolutely.
over and over again. And so we just knew from seeing that people want their more traditional style for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, and we want to offer that. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday.
Yes.
Just because of the food,
Food.
and it is all-time favorite. My mother doesn't allow me to cook. She does
doesn't?
the entire thing. Never have I been able to cook Thanksgiving. Even when I was in college, I'd come home and we'd have Thanksgiving dinner because I loved it. Not in Thanksgiving. And my
Mhm.
grandfather would come over. It was his favorite thing as well, too. So you have those memory foods, and there's a time for that. And it's Thanksgiving.
It is. It is. My mom passed probably 11 years ago, and she's a fabulous cook. We have a long line of cooks and chefs in my family, and she made the cornbread dressing, and I watched her. That's back when children really did. They were in the kitchen. You were in the kitchen. You were in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen making roux with my great grandmother in Louisiana. I mean, the dark roux by the vat. And I'm not, people are like, oh, you make a quarter cup of roux. No, it's a Folgers coffee can full of roux, and you're on your knees scooping, scoop it out, making gumbo with a chicken and a duck that was out in the yard.
Right.
So those memories are certainly there. But since my mother making the cornbread dressing, my daughter, now that's 21, during COVID, she had me make it, and she had me teach her make it because she just was like, what if we don't have this someday? Because it's not written down,
Right.
I mean, it's up here. And so those memories for sure. Now, do you have a similar, Richard, your flavors and your menu at Thanksgiving, is it similar to what you and Molly have created here?
In our home, personally?
Yes.
Yeah. So my wife is the same with Molly. It's her favorite holiday, but I am not a huge turkey guy, a huge stuffing guy. So we used to do like a rabbit or a lamb or something like that. And also we have to have the turkey. So we do kind of what we did on the Ellerbe just several years ago. We do both menus on there just because there's only so much white turkey I can really try to enjoy.
I mean, turkey sandwiches you can.
It is. That's right. So we blend it in our house.
Blend it. Oh, that's great. I love the menu, and it's a great idea. And this actually, there's 7. This is all included. Is this correct?
It's all included.
So
yeah.
there's 7 sides, if you may, and then 2, actually, like you said, 2 desserts. $95 for 4 to 6 people is incredible. mean, that's incredible. And you don't have to work, people, at all. Just have to heat it up.
It's just going to
Or
be
clean.
easy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you are obviously closed on Thanksgiving Day, right?
We are.
Okay. So tell us about that. And because in the restaurant industry, there's days you have to work, right? I mean, there's like New Year's Eve and so on and so forth. So, right. That's a tough, it's not retail, but it is retail, right?
It is. But we said from the get-go that we wanted to have a quality of life. And we wanted the people that worked with us to have quality of life and some type of balance. And so from the time that Ellerbe opened, we made sure that no one ever worked Thanksgiving. You know, we always worked I always worked Thanksgiving until Ellerbe. We're always closed for Christmas so that everyone can have that time with their family. And we just make sure that there's breaks within.
And that's the beauty of just with Molly and I being the owners, and it's us. We can make decisions tomorrow about our business, which is great. And we'll shut down. Like, you know, it's been a little bit of hard December, but, you know, working really hard. Let's close a few extra days after Christmas this time. And we're able to make that call because our whole staff, you know, everybody needs a break. You know, you mentioned earlier about the passion, right? I mean, we wouldn't work every single weekend night and all these other busy holidays if it wasn't for the passion. But we also need breaks too. So to re-energize yourself and also be with your family.
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
Exactly. So your staff, there's some that you've had since the beginning, right? Or all, or how is your, I mean, tell us about your staff. I know Scott. Scott's always.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know Scott?
That's right.
I mean,
we do
he's the one sashaying around your dining room, of course.
That's right. Making his own mask.
Oh, my stars.
Oh, I know.
Literally stars.
Everything's bedazzled. Anyway, no, we do have some of our original staff with us still, which we're proud of that. That's a rare feat in a small restaurant like us. And also, but our staff is everybody we bring in. I mean, they go through a couple of different interviews with us, but that first interview is important because you just feel that passion with them. We keep going back to that word, but it's just we know they want to be in this business, and it's not all about the end result being all about the money. It's like I can't wait to cook this dish, and it changes when I learn it. You know, or talk about the dish as a server. So you know, we've always had the philosophy, and we tell our everybody here, like, we hope when you leave our restaurant is that you're a way better person, whatever position you were in, that you're not coming in just to cook something on the fryer or to serve food. You're gonna move through our company and just be better on the food and wine side, but also like our motto is you're serving your grandmother every single day. That could be a food critic,
right?
And just if you have that mentality, then you're gonna make that person feel really comfortable making that dish for them and serving that dish for them,
right?
And honestly, Ellerbe is not the easiest restaurant job. It's not. And we've known that from the time that we opened. We demand a certain level of quality from ourselves, from the rest of our staff, from everyone, from the moment that you walk in. And working in a kitchen where the menu is changing 6 times a year, or we're having to come up with new things on the fly because a farmer, you know, the deer ate the lettuce, so we've got to change something up. You have to be on your toes and you have to be dedicated to what we're doing. And it's the same in the front. They have to be dedicated to learn these wines, to learn this food. And you have to show the passion in that. And if you don't, you're not going to succeed at Ellerbe.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. That's a great point because there is a level that you're upholding. And what we were saying about a food critic coming in, I mean, you have to hey, everybody needs to have a really good day. But I was saying you were nominated James Beard. I mean, congratulations for being semi-finalist for James Beard. I mean, what an honor and accomplishment.
Thank you.
Incredible. I'm so proud of you on that. But the press that you've received, Bon Appetit went to the 10 best restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that?
10.
In 10.
Mm-hmm.
Right after opening.
Feels like yesterday. Feels like 35 years ago.
Yes, literally.
That's right.
Exactly. And all of this, I mean, Southern Living, I worked for Southern Living right out of culinary school. And, you know, what a great, was the best shops. I think that was the article.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of gosh, I mean, there's a lot of accolades. I mean, we were
You have.
certainly,
I mean, it goes
certainly
on and on.
blessed.
Very blessed.
We worked hard at it, that's for sure. But the Ellerbe story also, and we got this old gas station. It was built in 1920 just because it's what we could afford. That was kind of.
Oh yeah, tell us that.
Well, so that's going to really happen. We were looking at all these great places in Fort Worth of where to put this restaurant, and we looked at some of the hot spots that we knew would be a hot spot, but we couldn't afford those hot spots. And so, like Molly was saying earlier, young and dumb. So we thought, well, let's go to another area we feel is kind of up and coming and it will be a hot spot, and it's just on the verge of getting there, but not there as the time we signed our lease. Yeah, we got an old 1920 Texaco gas station that it was just had a great bones and a great heart to it, and we just kind of redo it. And we had a lot of press really take that story on of how we took this dilapidated station and made it this really beautiful Napa style feeling restaurant inside. In an area that we were pushing the limitations of that area a little bit. We were one of the first restaurants on that street, and definitely on the higher end for sure. And the population wasn't quite there over there yet, but now it's one of the hottest areas to be in Fort Worth.
Oh, I know it.
And so we're just, that was a fun project. So a lot of press has kind of gravitated to that story as well. And that just organically happened. I mean, we did not plan that like, oh, this is going to be a neat spot in 10 years from now. It just kind of happened that way.
I mean, that is amazing. When I was there Friday night, we walked down, and it's just ever evolving. Magnolia over in that area, it's just evolving. And I was like, oh my goodness! I remember when you opened, it wasn't there. I mean, and apartments
That's right.
and good for you. So, tell us about what's going on, because I'm trying to figure out where to put COVID in here, because you do have a beautiful new bar. Because before you had kind of a market, it looked like a Napa Valley. You're going into a winery, and there's a little market. So tell us how that concept arrived, and then we'll move into our pandemic. Or vice versa.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. It was a market when you first walked in, or that feel of a market.
Right.
And that's hence the name Ellerbe Fine Foods. And that's another thing is when we started our concept in 2008 and our brands in 2009, and, we opened the doors up, we had the idea of a fine dining restaurant and then a market when you walk in. But we learned really quickly off the bat is Fort Worth wanted more of the fine dining farm to table scene. And we also didn't have the time to get to the other portion of it. So we never got there. And that was being just adaptive to our lives and what was thrown at us at that time. So it kind of kept that area. It's something as a market, something we've always kind of wanted to do is put a bar in. So yeah, we finally enclosed our patio, made a really nice New Orleans garden room, on the outside that it still can be open air, but it has right now it's closed up and it's really pretty inside. And then we put it in this really just fun bar and also New Orleans style feel, in that bar. Gosh, we got that bar is from the late 1800s out of Pennsylvania. We built a wine cellar. We have a table in the middle, this communal table that's, sits 10. It's from the 1700s out of France. We had a lot of fun doing this bar so when you did walk in Ellerbe, it's a place like, I want to go have something to drink before we go sit down for dinner, or you finish dinner, like, let's go have a little glass of dessert wine at the bar, waiting area. And then, yeah, like Molly was saying earlier, I got to finally build my wine cellar, and good and bad. I've grown our wine collection it's pretty large now. Yeah. Yes. We're one of the largest in the area. So we had to give all those wines a good home, and so now they're cellared in there as well. So that's one of the first things you see when you walk in is a cellar that holds 2,000 bottles, and it's fun. But then we shut down. Yeah, that's when COVID came. Yeah, finished this bar right before Valentine's that week of. Finished everything, and then
we had our grand opening scheduled for the first week of April.
That's right. Oh yes. Yeah, we had a great party lined up, and then May 12th, we ended up shutting everything down inside. Well, I mean March. Yeah, March.
It all runs together at this point.
What day is it? I know. Yeah. Is it Thanksgiving today?
Keep going. Just keep going.
That's right.
Yeah. So then, so we just as a state mandate, everybody was glad to shut down. With that happening, Molly and I, we knew that was going to happen. You
You
know,
knew.
we did well. Just really, like we physically had that feeling like this is going to happen. We were watching some other states that some of their data and also some of what those municipalities were doing. So we knew we weren't too far behind.
Right.
Luckily, we went curbside the very next day, or no, it might have been the day before,
We went curbside the weekend.
before it shut.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, so we were kind of the very first ones to do it. So we already had that model kind of lined up and in place. So our transition wasn't a rough one, really. It was actually very energizing because our staff, you know, a lot of staff got that fear of where's my job going to be tomorrow. I mean, I still have rent due no matter what. And we didn't know anything about COVID really quite yet and how long this was going to be. We thought, no question, this is going to be a 2-week hiccup,
Absolutely.
maybe 3 weeks. No way this is going longer than this.
No.
But there's still that fear because, you know, when we don't know what's tomorrow's going to hold, we just think the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we were to do curbside and it was fantastic. It was fun. Everybody stayed on. The whole staff did. And
The whole staff?
It was
Our
great.
staff.
Oh, my
Yeah.
stars.
It was great. Then everybody else kind of started doing it as well, which is great. And then so through that COVID process, that Molly and I, we okay, let's change it up then. You know, let's change our style. So we added some little new things in. One, to give our customers always different options during this challenging time. And then two, it might be more importantly to keep our staff, you know, keeping their mental state really good, you know, and like you have a safe home working here. We will figure this out. You know, we didn't take a couple of checks for a long time.
Yes.
Right.
So, you know, and then, you know, we weren't open for lunch. We opened back up in May. Was it May? We all opened back up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a soft opening, you know, because I mean the public was still a little uneasy about
Sure.
coming out.
Not us. We
No,
were there.
I
We were there.
Knocking on the door.
We were.
You know, and but it was just good to see faces again. It was
Oh.
good. I mean, even though you didn't know if you're going to hug somebody or shake their hand, you didn't know what to do. You know, the COVID fist bump wasn't really quite around yet, and but it was finally to get kind of back a little bit some normalcy back into our game again. You know, we never opened back up for lunch. We still are shut down for lunch. But it's during this whole time, it's given you and I some time to really reflect on other stuff about our company, about our families. You know, so it's just been some really great things that we never would have thought would have come out of this COVID. If COVID wouldn't have happened, we never would have done some of these things. Also, it's been a kind of a real unique disguised blessing.
Yeah, it's given us an opportunity too to focus, like you're saying, on other aspects that we would not have even thought to incorporate. Like Richard's been doing the virtual wine tastings, and we've been getting to do in the kitchen the little nosh boxes to go with that. And that's been really fun and different because we always loved our wine dinners. But right now, it's just not the time for that. But we've gotten to offer this to more people in a larger format. And then also the Throwback Thursdays. We've been doing kind of more of a comfort style family meals once a week. And, you know, all those flavors and things that people want, and they're not having to do it themselves. And so it's been fun to see new projects come through for Ellerbe during this.
So, Molly, your Throwback Thursday, and is this in dining in or curbside or both?
Curbside.
Curbside. Okay. For example, homestyle meatloaf was October 15th. Oh my goodness. Of course, the mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yes.
And then braised beef ragu with rigatoni. So there's your pasta side. And then praline pulled pork and grits. Are you kidding? How you feeling about that, Paul?
I'm always hungry back here whenever you have these food episodes.
I just saw him shaking his head back there. I know
You said my favorite word, praline, and then that's just.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Did you say it praline or praline?
Praline?
Okay.
Oh.
Louisiana.
Got it.
praline. It's all the same to
No
me.
matter
Yep.
what, it's delicious.
Yep.
You learn that at day one at Ellerbe. It's praline.
Praline.
Yeah.
I know they probably cringed when I just said that. So this is the type of food that you're doing for curbside, and that has to be wildly popular.
It has been. We've seen a lot of people enjoying it, and it's a fun thing for us to get to offer. And, like we were saying, like we grew up going out to dinner, maybe right now you're not wanting to go out to dinner, or you use Ellerbe as a special occasion and the kids are like, well, I've never gotten to go. Well, this is Ellerbe at home, for the whole family. So
Right.
we've had a lot of families say that, oh, the kids were so excited because you said, oh, you're going to get to have Ellerbe tonight, because they know that's the special place for mom and dad kind of a thing.
So this is is it for 4 to 6, and how many?
4 people, $44.
44. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is fabulous. Okay. So each week that menu can be found on your website, or on y'all newsletter
Yep,
or anything?
newsletter and on the website.
Okay, on
Just
your website.
order by Wednesday afternoon and pick up on Thursday.
Well, I tell you, I did some curbside, and if I remember correctly, I mean, my daughter we were reading, and it was chicken salad or something. I'm just like, oh my gosh, which I adore chicken salad, but oh my goodness, it's so good. Which I love everything on your menu. My husband loves Mama's
The bread pudding.
The bread pudding.
The bread
I can't
pudding.
touch it, but yes. Okay, so let's take it back to COVID. So the silver lining for you all, you did get to regroup and to redefine some opportunities, right?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is I've never looked at our books harder every day, which, I mean, that's something as my side of business, I do not like to do it. And so with Molly and I, and, in your background in college too, so we were able to really look at our expenses in a whole different light than we were last year. 'Cause when business is going great, you don't look at a whole lot of things. And also some things you just like, it's okay. We got this.
Yeah. Get back to that.
We'll fine tune that later on, but we didn't have that opportunity. With COVID came in, every business had to do that, right? You had to adapt. Like you couldn't adapt next week. You had to adapt that day.
Right.
And so we were making decisions. Like we made decisions in about 2 days of just cutting tons of things out. Like we don't need this right this second. Our staff needs some income, so let's change some things over, and everybody can keep their jobs and do things here in house. We took out a lot more responsibilities on as well. We got great things. We got we repainted the restaurant. We did,
Got a new fence.
Got a new fence. We asked our staff, like, listen, we can hire guys to do this. Do you want to do that? But I want to do it.
Wow.
And so that's one thing. It was a neat kind of really bringing the family together when I think we really needed that feeling, in our community, in our restaurant for us.
And we said from the very beginning that, and we told our staff, we are all in this together. I mean, there's no separation here. And as long as y'all want to work, we will find a way to do this, and we're going to do it together. And like Richard said, we did not have to let go of one single person through this. And that was a testament to us, to our staff, but also to Fort Worth. And they supported us through this in ways, it still just amazes me, the support we got from the community. And it allowed us to survive. And all of the families that the support touched throughout our community of the restaurant, the farmers, they still had places for their food to go. I mean, the impact of what the community did for us is huge.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'll never forget that one guy who, and I don't know who he is still, but he came up to our front door and he said, "Here's $500. Give this to all your staff."
Yep.
Didn't order anything, didn't do anything, and just walked off. And that's what brought that Force community together, of this. Everybody felt for what everybody was going through. And I guess he had the means and opportunity to help somebody out. And then he chose us, which was great. And he didn't want to he just walked in and just gave it to us. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Isn't that? And I have heard this countless times from friends of mine in town that are, and everywhere, from restaurateurs that have had this type of support from their community. And, we have the doors, you're the brick and mortar, but you also remember, like you just said, Molly, the farmers. I mean, there's still that. I mean, you have to support local and the dairies and all the shops. It's amazing. Did you lose any employees because they decided to make the decision? Because it was a scary time. I mean, it is a scary time of not wanting to work during this pandemic.
Well, just one that he's like, listen, If we're heavy on anything, I have some time where I can spend some time with myself and family and take some time off. That helps y'all out. Just one person out of our whole staff, and that was their decision. But then, he came right back when doors beckoned up. He was like, "I'm back in."
And I think all of us, have focused on ourselves and our life and long-term goals and whatnot through this. And so we've had some that have decided to get completely out of the restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. We've had someone else who's decided to take the leap and open their own coffee bar. Mm-hmm. And, so they left to go ahead and start working on that dream. And so it's been great to see the staff is still continuing, and we've hired 2-3 new people in the last couple months as well. So life goes on.
It does go on. It definitely goes. Okay, so tell us about the bar and your baby, obviously. Yeah. It is beautiful. Congratulations. Thanks. I did see it last week. And when we came in during May, when it was, that opening, when a restaurant's opening, I mean, it was just almost like a space movie. Like everybody is so afraid and they don't want to offend, don't want to cross any boundaries. But you all did it so well. Now we know your staff and we knew people because you have regulars, right? I mean, your brand is built on regulars, I am sure, it right? Is. But tell us the bar, because it's just beautiful. I mean, tell us what you serve and your thoughts on expansion.
Well, we're going to tell you what we planned on for this bar.
There you go.
And
Once upon a time.
And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We know we will at some point. Molly and we're a fan of these little appetizers and great wine and bubbles together. So that was kind of like this bar was set up kind of a little bit of a wine bar. And where we had small plates, and Molly, you need to talk about those. I can't remember them, which is crazy. I know. But I can't remember what they were. But so these small bites, small plates, going on with some really fun wines by the glass. We're gonna have about 30 or so wines by the glass. Also doing wine cocktails, which you don't see very often, especially in Texas. You see them a lot more on the East and West Coast, but we're getting them now here. And
wine cocktails.
Just great cocktails are made with wine,
yes.
And it's a place that, our hours, it's going to be where when we are traditionally closed or in the middle of those services, between two services, we'll still be open for that bar. So you can come in at 2:00, 3:00 and have a small bite and have a glass of wine and then to go home for the day or continue on however you want. That's the plan. And we had about 2.5 weeks of that fun time. But we'll get back to that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we have to. And the bars that are in all across Texas, we'll just use Texas. The bars that had to shut, that just recently opened this week, not the week we're airing this, of course. Bless her heart. I mean, and when we say bar, I mean your bar's not a bar that is over off TCU campus, and we're talking about an elegant fine dining. But the bars that have lost. My heart bleeds for.
No, it does.
Sure. I mean, the industry, because we're all in this together, was in Austin. We live part-time in Austin. There is a very, very similar Emmer and Rye, very similar to your concept, and fine dining, very small, love it. And I went and they reopened. It was just outside in July in Texas. And I went and supported, and I did. I had tears running down my face because it was everyone just trying to adapt, change their menu, did a pop-up menu, did so many different, it's Italian night, it's taco night or whatever. And you know what? You just adapt. But they were telling me, the chef was telling me, he said, you know what? We have to adapt to these kids that have lost their jobs, but they're used to coming to Emmer and Ryan having a glass of wine. So, it was just interesting. But I just remember thinking my heart bleeds for our industry. I say that because that's the industry I'm in, you're in, but all of the industries as well. But what you're saying too is there is a silver lining. You can breathe and you can redefine yourself or shut your doors, right?
That's right.
You decided not to do that.
And we've lost some good restaurants in Fort Worth the past several months, and it's sad. It's not over. We're going to lose some more this year and lose some next year because of what's going on. But, I think restaurants, if you can power through this, we're only going to be a better restaurant next year. And all the restaurants and bars that are able to power through this and then get through that fight, that restaurant bar and that staff's going to be a stronger staff for sure. No question.
And the trust you have, that y'all have your staff. I mean, just incredible. That
We got good ones.
you're going to take care of them. All right. Okay, I want to do something fun here. I'm going to stop talking about that. It's going to go away, though. All right, so I was there Friday night, and I had Battlefield ranch water buffalo larb salad. Okay?
Yes.
So I am going to use what I thought, and Scott explained it to me, but then I saw the flavors, and once I received and tasted, it was very Asian influenced, right?
is.
Very okay. Explain to me this salad / appetizer. I was right. So fabulous. First of all, all right. So
you.
explain this to me. And where did you come? Where did this come from?
Well, you see it as a traditional salad offered a lot at Thai restaurants. And if you've been at Ellerbe much, I usually don't do that much Asian inspiration.
No.
But that is where one of the collaborations with my sous chef that we've come together, because he really loves Asian flavors and whatnot. And so I was like, well, let's give this a try. And that's one of his strong suits and not mine. So I love that salad. I wanted to incorporate it on there. And that's, wanted to do our own little take with our local water buffalo instead of ground beef. It's what you usually see.
It was so refreshing, so fabulous. Okay, pair it with a wine for me.
Oh gosh, on the spot.
We can come back to you.
No, we know. I got it. I mean,
I got this right.
my home run is always champagne. Yeah. You got a lot of flavors going on with that salad. And those Asian flavors, that spice and heat, and some of that acid coming in it. I just love sparkling wine with a dish like that.
Really?
Yeah. They'll make just great. Especially this guy right here in front of us is Argyle Sparkling Rosé out of Oregon. It would go perfectly with that.
That looks fantastic. Okay, so like you're saying bubbles or champagne with that. Would you ever do a Riesling with a little bit of sweet on it?
Yep. So I like Rieslings and Gewürztraminers, and it's the same also with Thanksgiving. Those are two great wines as well to go with Thanksgiving. But yeah, you're right. You're sweet that goes with that heat on a lot of those dishes. Kind of it balances out that sweetness comes down, the heat comes down. They kind of a good old marriage of two flavors.
Molly, that was incredible.
Great.
And there's a local chef that was here not too long ago, and she said the same thing. She said, I just kind of got stuck. I just was doing my same thing all the time, doing, hired a couple of new guys, and, they kind of pushed the envelope, and it was not in her comfort zone. And she said it was wildly popular.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the shrimp. So they're the shrimp that you have that you put on top of redfish. Am I remember which one I'm talking? The little tiny shrimp.
The bay shrimp. Yep.
Okay. Explain that recipe to everyone, because to me that's almost a signature for Ellerbe. That
Our
right?
barbecue shrimp.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Our
to
barbecue
explain
shrimp.
that.
Well, that was a learning experience for our staff and for the our
Really?
clients. Yeah, because you hear barbecue shrimp in Texas and you're thinking barbecue, Texas barbecue,
Yeah,
but
sweet.
it's New Orleans style.
Yes.
So it is not for the calorie faint at heart. It is a butter base that a compound butter with all types of spices, a little chili, some cayenne in there. And then we also sweat down the mirepoix, the onions and the celery and the bell pepper, and then just lightly poach those little base shrimp in there. And so then that's a great sauce all in itself.
Just so luscious
Yeah.
and fabulous. Pair wine with us. Give us some wine with that. On top of that redfish.
Oh, with redfish. Okay.
Yeah, the redfish, because we've had the shrimp on top, the Creole shrimp. The Creole shrimp.
Creole shrimp.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, we've had the Creole shrimp, because when I think Creole shrimp, I think the Louisiana because of the Shreveport. So if you do the redfish with the Creole shrimp, what would be your pairing?
Well, traditionally we've actually been doing with Pinot.
Really?
Yeah, because I guess we are all growing up taught red meat, white fish or poultry,
Yes.
right? That's gone for sure now, I think. And so, yeah, we do Pinots and all kinds of Pinot Noirs with this dish, because the way the fish is prepared with some of that heat on it, and then with that fat that's coming through that Texas-based shrimp and the heat on that, it goes great with just a really good bright red wine that doesn't overpower the fish. Not tannic at all. You need something that really has no tannins on it, but it has that same kind of mouthfeel that fish is going to, the weight of that wine's going to have the same weight that dish is going to have. And then just trying to marry that same notes that are in the dish that you might have that same note in that wine.
Gotcha. Okay. Is there a favorite? You have one favorite dish on your menu. Is there? I
don't.
know.
I don't.
I know we get asked that a lot.
People ask me that, and it all changes. Like I come up with my new menu. I'm so excited. I post it. I'm like, yay! Everyone looks at it. Everyone's excited. We go through menu change, and then we're about 3 weeks in, and I'm like, okay, I'm tired of looking at that dish. I've got to completely change that. And so by the time I get done, I don't like any of them, and I'm sitting there thinking, what was I doing putting this on my menu? And I have to start all over.
You take it off, and then someone wants it back.
Oh yeah,
Of
always.
course.
But I would say probably people know when we bring on the menu the duck confit.
Yes.
Oh, well, yes, I always bring a coffee on.
That's you don't have to bring that exact dish, but you bring a formation of that dish every single year, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's back! It's back!
It's back.
The duck confit is back." Because you do a very traditional style duck confit,
Yeah.
so and so it takes a long time to make it the way it is. But yeah, that's one dish I think you'll see coming back usually twice a year, give or take some time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Which part of the year would it be?
winter.
Winter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's coming. So
coming.
the duck confit is very rich, very, very rich.
It is.
And you would put with that.
I'm gonna go. Gosh, that's when you think regionally, right? So in wine pairings, where dish is from, what they can drink with that. So I'm gonna go just French.
Go in France.
And go French,
Mhm.
yeah. You know, I love a Rhone. Again, I know we keep coming back to this, this little girl right here on the table, but the Rhones, with that, you just get a little bit richer style wine, with it. I mean, that definitely is a rich dish,
Yes.
right? But you don't want a wine too rich to where it's gonna, be too much going on in the mouth at the same time.
Right, right. So I always ask my chefs and my foodies and my wine, I always ask this question: what is your either favorite or earliest memory, food memory? And I'll start with mine so you can think a minute, and you may know it right away, but your earliest, very earliest, and mine was when I was about 4 or 5. It was the 70s, and my mom had a dinner party. Fondue party. All right. And she had the fondue pots, the electric. It was electric because it was the 70s color. And I remember hiding underneath the main table, and I would just sit and watch. And I would look, and I'd see my mom's big glitter palazzo pants, or, big legs. And it was the 70s, and they were having fun. I'm sure there was cigarette smoke everywhere. And I was under there, and I just remember all of the fun. And me going to culinary school, I said, I'm not doing food. I got a full-ride scholarship, and it was based on food. Mm-hmm. So I was put there, and I had a passion for it, but that was my youngest and my most, that was just the coolest thing. And it was fondue. it was cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese and chocolate melted, basically. So you tell us your food memory, and it may be last week.
Well, our youngest food memory?
It doesn't matter. Just a great
Well, I'll go with
food.
youngest. That's what I thought of first. And I'm not saying it's a good one, but I do remember this.
Yeah.
Our grandmother's house as well. And I was around 4 or 5 years old because my grandmother was saying we had these dinner parties, and especially Christmas, Thanksgiving was really big in our family. That gelatin salad that they would make, that would have nuts in it.
Yes.
And as a kid, you're like, okay, first I'm eating Jell-O. That's not clear. It actually it's opaque.
In it.
It has stuff in it. Then not only that, you're gonna put mayonnaise on top of it.
I know.
And so as a kid, you're like, Grandma, this is not right. But you still ate it. You could not eat. You had to at least try a bite in our house.
Sure.
So you try a bite of everything. That's a memory I have, so I don't eat it anymore. It's a food I've gone away with, but that's a memory I do have really young.
Is that funny? Because I remember the mayonnaise as well on top of them. I'm thinking of that now. I want kind of my mouth. I was going,
it sounds horrible right now. It was green. It's only green.
Yeah.
green.
It's like a lime green. Oh yeah, they put some pistachios
and marshmallows.
Yes.
In there.
They had marshmallows every now and then.
Yeah, I remember Mother doing a yellow Jell-O with cheddar cheese, and nuts, and anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
We have to move on from this.
We just went down that road. Thanks, Richard. What wine would you pair with that?
Oh gosh, yeah, don't
A lot.
Kid it. Yeah. I don't know that one. Corbell.
Exactly. Okay, it's true.
A food memory would probably be at my grandparents' house on Ellerbe. They had a large piece of property, really big vegetable garden, and then a couple ponds, and even past the ponds, there were a couple fields. So I remember not only picking the vegetables in the garden, but I remember distinctly one morning my grandfather had plowed one of the fields, and it was me and my sister and my 2 cousins, and being out there, and it'd be hot outside, and we were walking behind the tractor, digging our feet into the cold dirt, feeling around for potatoes.
Wow.
And,
yes.
and digging up the potatoes and doing that, and really seeing like the whole process of doing that, bringing it home to my grandmother. Then she would have the
Washing. Yeah.
the washing and putting them in the closet to ripen, and the whole process of the vegetables from start to
Right.
finish. Yeah.
You know, and you, if you experienced that, there was black-eyed peas.
Oh yes.
Did you shell them with your fingers, or were you one of those wealthy people in town that had the electric one?
We would
Oh, yeah.
sit in the garden room on the floor, and we would have our 2 bowls, and we would get 10 cents for each bowl that we shelled. And I mean, you were in big money,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
only made it through like 3 bowls
Sure,
before
before
you
your
were done.
fingers were done.
Yeah.
Got a little
But,
distracted. Exactly.
yeah, but that was
And
definitely.
for what it's worth, we still shell our own peas at Ellerbe.
I know.
You do?
Oh
I
yeah.
do it. Yes. I bring them because it's a memory. And
It is a memory.
and the farmers live. Do you want the shelled ones? I'm like, no. Give us the ones
No.
without, and just the smell of it, and
Yes.
and feeling it. And I know the kitchen every time the peas come in or the okra, they're like, oh
here
goodness,
we
here
go.
we go again.
Mhm.
But I'm like, oh, it's so great. Just grab a couple bowls, stand online, and wait for that order to start coming in, and just shell. And
That is
in between.
fantastic. I love that. That is a great, and it is memories. And I'm hoping that I'm creating memories, for my daughter. She's 21 now, but I want what I had. I would pick blackberries on our fence, and I would just go down and eat them and eat them and eat them. And my mom's like, just pick them. We're going to make a cobbler or whatever. And she would ask me, did you eat any? Mm-mm. And my mouth is purple. I mean, just okay. You can get a spanking from the peach tree. Okay, and take your lickings. But it's just those fabulous memories. And knowing you two now better, I see that passion comes from memories and the namesake of your restaurant, Ellerbe, because your grandparents.
because my grandparents lived off of Ellerbe in Shreveport, so it was owed to them and our childhoods and in our hometown.
Yeah, and you two, your partners, of course. Okay, I want to know before we wrap up, white gloves, purple teeth.
Mm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of something we formed a little bit before this all happened, but like Molly was saying, we adapted it now this year. So we have a unique license. We're able to sell all of our wine retail. We're able to get a lot of fun wines that restaurants can't necessarily get sometimes. So we offer just a personal concierge service, and it can be, we just help you buy wine for a party or for a wedding or for your wine cellar. Or if you have a wine cellar, you don't know, like, gosh, we have a lot of Cabernet, but I really want to try some other things. Can you start kind of show me some of the wines that, my family might like in this price point? And so we'll kind of go through a cellar management and with them on that. Private events. So we're doing like virtual wine tastings now, which that wasn't a thing 5 months ago.
Not at all.
Nobody knew what Zoom was in January.
Couldn't make someone do that.
Right.
No.
So now we're doing these little virtual wine tastings with the winemakers and winery owners now too. So people could be at their home or their office and doing these fun little, white glove style feeling of having wine. So we'll bring the wine to your business or your house for you, and then later on that night we'll have a little phone call and walk through wine for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been great. It's just something really unique our restaurant can do. A lot of our customers do really, really love and appreciate wine, and it's something like I just don't know really what to buy sometimes, and so that's kind of, we're here to guide them through that.
Hey, here's a question for you. So, lived in different places in my life and moved quite often. And at one point I dated a wine sommelier, not anymore, dated a wine sommelier. He was at the Ritz in Boston, and I learned so much and was able to collect. So I don't know what I have anymore. You know what I mean? Is that a service? Is that a thing to come to someone's home and say, pitch it, drink it, store it?
Yep, that's what we do.
You could do that. See,
yeah.
I've had people ask me that because I don't know if that was a $2, $2 chuck, or if it was, I don't know some of it obviously you do, but storage and moving and transferring, and because that can damage, right, a wine quickly.
It can, but like for instance, my wife's birthday. Well, we celebrated her birthday this week, and I got one of her birth year wines. I'm not going to say what birth year it was, but I got one of her birth year wines, and I knew the wine wasn't going to be at its best moment in life. But we drank anyways. I was like, this wine is not going to be the best, but it's going to be really fun to drink it together as a group. We did. And I explained what happened on in that year and how that wine was made that way. So sometimes the wine still cannot be at its best optimal way of tasting, but still you might want to keep it sometimes because it has a memory behind it while you bought that bottle. So, but yeah, we do help with that as well. Like, you need to drink this, or don't drink this yet. Hold on to it for maybe 2 more years, or just open it and have fun. Like, don't even think about it. Just go it.
Open it and just either drink it or not. Right. Well, it has been so fabulous seeing you, both of you here, and I have to say we've had so many guests. We're almost on 47 or something shows, I think, but I have to say, you two going through this national pandemic we've all gone through, I feel good. I mean, I feel good about what you've done, how our community is supported. You've supported the community and so many families. And I just can't thank you for your talent and your time and your energy and your passion. For sure.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to come in that bar.
That's right. Well, this has been fun doing this as well.
I know. Well, thank you so much. Okay. We can find you at ellerbe.com. Is that the
ellerbefine.foods.com.
Okay. Instagram.
We do it all. Instagram and Facebook and all the man, we have a good team that handles all our PR.
We don't.
Don't we? Yeah. We know we have a Facebook page. We do not get on it. But
there's no we.
But it's managed very well by a team. So,
exactly. Yeah. I do understand. Yeah.
We try.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, I appreciate you, and everyone, please go and support these fabulous people and support local and the farmers and everyone else. Please. And it's great talking to you today. Everyone follow me at Tiffany C. Blackman. And of course, we're trying to get up in that Apple world. Please go to YouTube, rate and review this, and tell us what you want to hear and see and do. And I hope you all are well and keep being fabulous.